Hey, friends. Welcome back to the Good Roots podcast. This week, we're going to be talking about community and what it looks like to live in community. This is actually part of the last week of our practices series here at Harvest, and we hope that you'll get something from this moment and maybe take a deeper dive into what it means to live in the life of community. Hey friends, welcome back to the Good Roots podcast. This is Nick Lee, senior pastor or lead pastor, because I'm not that old yet. Lead pastor here at Harvest United Methodist Church. And I am joined with who I hope will be one of my regular co-hosts, Tim Clements, who is our director of worship and arts here at the church.
Hey,
Good
Nick.
morning, Tim.
How are you?
Oh, man, I'm good. So
maybe the better question is, what is the state of your soul?
Oh, my gosh.
So we just made this podcast an hour and a half long.
How is it with your soul? Thank you, John Wesley.
Yeah.
That is a big part of the community.
It is. We're talking about community, and it makes sense because I am officially now a member of Harvest as in the community here.
Yeah, you and your whole family.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, you can take it for granted, but I didn't grow up with that particular. I mean, I had community, but I did not have a church community when I was growing up. Yep. And so, having family and knowing that there is that community for them is so important. It's so critical. Just being surrounded by people that are there. They've got your back. They're in your corner. And I'm still just reflecting on those words because I'm blessed to have said when I'm taking over the podcast.
No, you're good.
When you join the United Methodist Church, there's things that you say when you join a church. Yeah. And I've said those twice because I've joined two churches. Yeah. I've said the response a lot. I've been very blessed to be able to be part of churches that are growing and having community in it. But hearing those words said to me, I'm trying to remember exactly what they are.
No, so I'll paraphrase it. So essentially, the church, after the new member or the person being baptized makes their vows to the church and to God, we, the congregation, the already assembled folks, say back to you. We commit to love you, to walk with you, to be with your family, to pray for you, all of those things. Yeah. So that's essentially the paraphrase. And you got to hear those words from our congregation to you and your family. How was that yesterday?
It means so much. It's such an unusual thing for a church service for the community to make that promise to the people who are joining. But it felt really good because it means that it's not just, hey, how am I going to contribute to this, but it's how are we as a body, as a community, going to do it together. And that's how you have to do everything. Yeah. And it's weird because my natural state of being is more of a. So I am actually an introvert, which is strange.
No.
Yeah. No, I know.
I know.
I'm genuinely, which is strange because how do you end up having to talk and sing songs and do things for a living in front of a lot of people? And the answer is God says you're going to do it. And you say, okay. But it's and so there are times when my natural instinct when facing life is to sit there and say, all right, I'm out and I'm going to go into my little corner and I'm just going to stay away from people and or I'm going to just spend time with just me and God and be alone and it's not as good as I want it to be because we're missing something so critical about being with other people, being in that community.
Well, that's a great segue into kind of what we talked about yesterday, was I think I opened up my sermon saying that community isn't just essential, um, but it is the place we are supposed to run to when naturally we try to run the opposite
Yeah.
direction, right? So like, well, this is going to be so it's just the two of us,
Yeah.
and then whoever hundreds and thousands of people who watch. Like I've said to you in the last couple of weeks, this summer's been really difficult for
Yeah.
me, right? So, um, everything from dropping a kid off at college, a special different type of college, right?
Yeah.
To having friends and family members who have gone through like medical, what feels like nightmares.
Yeah.
And then the pressure of still being a husband, a father, a pastor. It's been a pretty tough summer,
Yeah.
right? And the other emotional things, like earlier in a podcast, Diane and I talked about going to Africa, and for
Yeah.
all of the good things that came with that, there was also like this really, it just emotionally taxing. And I know that there are times in this period of the summer where I've just wanted to go away from community. But one of the things I did when we got back from dropping off our first kid at school was we called a bunch of friends and said, "How about you guys just come over and just sit? Let's just hang out.
Yeah.
Let's just be together." And there's something really important about community. Like there is a safety, there's a shelter, there's a shared burden in that.
Yeah.
But I think you're probably best to talk about this a little bit in the sense that, because you just said this, like when things get tough, I tend to go the opposite direction of people.
Oh yeah, I run. I'll run and do a little, and it's not to clarify the whole introvert thing. It's not that I don't like people, because I do.
Yeah.
I love people. I love spending time, and even if I'm by myself too much, I'm like, I need to go see somebody do something. I love people, but people are exhausting sometimes. Even in the best of situations, that's just, some people are recharged by social interaction, and some people we're just giving
Right.
until we run out,
Yeah.
and that's the difference in it. So it's not that I don't like people, because I do, I love them. It's just, stop being so exhausting. No.
Well, a good friend of mine wrote a book, and he said, people are the great purifiers.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the things that's exhausting is, like, there are conceptual things we talk about in Scripture about how we should be with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like, loving and kind and encouraging and accountable to each other.
Yeah.
But those are really great in concept until you've got to do it with a real person
Yeah.
who, for all of the reasons, like some of the people who are the most important to me in my life are the same people who at times make me want to
Yeah.
dig a small hole and just put my head in it and then cover it back up so I don't have to hear the noise, right? And so, I mean, it becomes, community is really, we talked about, it's the room where you learn all the things it means to be who God has called you to be. Like
Sure.
we kind of talked about that yesterday.
Well, one of the interesting things about community in a church is that you have a bunch of people that might not normally have got together in the same place on their own, because we're not united because we are the same in every way. We tend to gather where people are, it's like, hey, well, you like that football team, I like that football team too, let's be best friends forever. Instead you have I'm completely different from you. We have completely different things that we like. We have completely different passions. We may disagree and fight over things like politics or other things that are big.
Yeah.
And yet we're called to be in this community with one another and to live with one another and to find harmony and peace and love one another in that verb action kind of way. And so it's community is not just hanging out with people that you want to all the time. It's a lot more than that. But there is so much beauty to be found in that diversity when
Yeah.
we let ourselves realize that more often than not, there's more stuff that we are alike about than that's the old John Wesley. If we cannot think alike, let us not. We could love alike.
Yeah.
We could we there's so much more that we have in common with even people that we think that we don't like at all. And the only way to realize that and to see the humanity and to see God in somebody is to spend time with them.
Yeah.
But getting back to what you said earlier, because I'll wander about going off by myself, as the natural thing to do. It's because sometimes I just need to get away from all of that
Yeah.
and to have that moment. The challenge is what do you do, because I'm not always necessarily good about going off and sitting in silence or sitting in prayer. I'm not always good about necessarily going into the wilderness and spending time with God.
Yeah.
You fill your head with stuff, whatever's around you. You listen to things, you watch things, and you isolate yourself. And if you're not careful, you can end up in some dark, weird places.
Yeah. The doom scroll of the mind.
Oh, the doom scroll of the mind.
Yeah.
That's
I think from so you and I are different in that I'm an extrovert. I used to be in my younger years an extrovert with no need or no perceived need on my part of solitude or quiet, right? And so I think sometimes a mass of people, I think there's something to be talked about in what community actually is.
Yeah.
It's not just getting into a room with like 100 or 200 other people. Because sometimes, and the word that is spinning in my head, which is kind of going, we're going to take another rabbit trail together. But the word that's, about community and why sometimes like I, even as an extrovert, steer clear of it is the word vulnerability.
Ooh.
Because like being, especially so like, I have said to a couple of friends this summer, I feel exposed, and not so much like in the sense that my normal ability to put up kind of like a barrier between me and the feeling so that people, because you want to give everybody your best, you're the lead pastor, you need people to, I haven't, that ability has been almost non-existent for me because all of the emotions, all of the feels. And so I have gone into Sunday mornings. I have gone into small groups. I've gone into like just being with people in a vulnerable place. And I think one of the things that the church that I have to admit is the people who I have really called and cultivated as my community are people I can be safe with.
Yeah.
And the question for the church is, as a whole, are we a safe place for people to actually be vulnerable in? Because that's a part of the conversation of community.
Yeah.
Can I come and be myself? When I'm at my best, can you take that and love me? And when I'm at the most vulnerable places, when I'm just like, I don't have a shiny thing to give you today. All I've got is Nick with all of the nerves exposed.
Yeah.
And can you love me? And that's the question. And I'll answer it for me at Harvest. For the most part, the answer is, yeah. Now the reality is, some days we show up together and all of our nerves are exposed for one reason or another, and we've got to figure out the way to like be kind to each other. But yeah, so let's pause for a second because we've taken a couple of rabbit trails. Can we define community together? What is it actually? Because I said like it's community isn't really just like 200, 300, 1,000 people like in a room together. Oh, look at my community.
Yeah.
And I want all of Harvest. So those of you who are watching and listening, like our hope is that all of Harvest is a community together.
Yeah.
But what's the definition? Let's tell me what you think that actually looks like.
So I have to get logical about it.
Yeah, be logical because I'll take the sort of the definition that I worked for our sermon series.
Yeah.
But like just
I mean, community is it's just being with other people. I mean, at its base thing, but it's not just sitting in a room, not just being, but actually being there.
Yeah.
Being able to open yourself up a little bit. I mean, you can have community with a bunch of people who are putting on their performative. Here's who I want to be. Here's who I pretend I am, and or here's who I think you want me to be.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess that counts as well. You're still together as people, but I think a real community is just that.
Yeah.
The authentic community would perhaps be the right word for it, where you can get people in a room who are able to be who they are, and to look at someone who's else and to say, I see you.
Yeah.
I see you for who you are.
Yeah.
That's my ideal community.
Okay.
Even though that also sounds like the most stressful kind of community you can have.
Isn't it? But isn't that part of the deal, though?
Yeah.
Like, there's the tension of, I think anything that lacks tension, you might want to check if it's real.
Yeah.
Okay. It makes me feel good when you do that. So let's talk. So I used I for our sermons, when I wrote on community. So I'm a big Eugene Peterson fan, and I think the language he uses is pretty inspirational and helps us. So one of the things, the way that I have talked about it, is that community is the room where we have the space to be formed together.
Okay.
Now that's not an exact quote from Eugene Peterson, but it's pulling pieces from his work, right? One of the things that we used in the sermon yesterday was his rendering, the way that he communicated the John 1 text, where it is that Christ came and lived really. He came and made home here on earth. Like he came and was with us. Like the imagery of how Christ comes incarnationally. So this idea that community becomes the space or the room where we're formed, for me, started going, okay.
Yeah.
So so the room gets moved.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's kind of like our setup here, 2 chairs, a couch, and a coffee table, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's in the middle of a sanctuary, where we're hearing together and reciting things like the Lord's Prayer, the kids among us, and we are all being formed by our Father who art in heaven. The small group room, the youth room that's not too far from us right now. Yeah. Those are all places, but the room actually is the community. Yeah. That give you the space, and that's why I say, like, just meeting and being in a room with 1,000 people doesn't mean it's community. No. The community functions as really the fertile ground and space where we're being formed. Yeah. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's the good formation where we're learning the language of the new world, as Peterson would put it, where we're learning, like, hey, the world that is here around us is because of 1,000 different things, but this new country, this new land, this new world and its language, the community of faith teaches us. And that sounds really churchy. Yeah,
but I think that is a good definition of community as it relates to church, because if we are coming to church, if we're coming together, we should be changed in some way, shape, or form. There should be some formation. I'd be a little concerned if every time I went to church, if every time I went and opened myself up to Jesus, it was, boy, I sure feel good about every single thing that I did and every choice that I made. If I can get to that point, that would be incredible. Onward to Christian perfection.
Let me know when you get there. John Wesley will let you know.
Yeah, but as it stands right now, every time I get close, I realize, no, I have a long way to go. But a lot of that comes from those times where we are together, being shaped and molded.
I want to take us beyond a little bit of the church piece for just a second.
Yeah.
Because I think we have to be careful. I know that I'm trying to do this in my own life. I'm trying to be careful not to have compartments like church here, and then this life here or whatever else like that. I think the definition actually spans the gamut of, right? So there are times when I'm with my friends or other coaches. So when I was coaching football, we would get together, and being with that group, that community was forming me.
Yeah.
So it really is, when we talk about it in the church, yes, but also it's a reality in our whole life. The community of people who've embraced my kids with football, with basketball, weightlifting, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
We together are being formed.
Yeah.
And I hope that the fact that I am learning from the church and connecting with Christ bleeds into all of that. So it doesn't just get bifurcated in a process where I've got my community out here and then my church. I hope
these are my church community, and then there's the community that I hang with. Where they're separate things. Now it's so community in that sense. A small community is the whole reason I ended up going to a church in the first place.
Right.
And if it hadn't been for a community that existed outside of a church, it would have never happened.
Yeah.
I'll tell the super high basic story from that. I grew up, I wasn't allowed to go to church. Just straight up, I wasn't allowed to go. And so, and I was given a lot of very strong opinions about what the church is.
Yeah.
And if I'm being really honest, sometimes a lot of the way you see the church from a distance, if you're not part of it, kind of backs that up.
Yeah.
And so I was perfectly satisfied and happy not to be a church person at all. And I was 27 years old. Having moved to North Carolina, and we had a neighbor who we got along with really well, but she had some difficulty doing some physical activity, and so just simple things like we started helping take care of things, moving the garbage bin up to the front of, just simple stuff like that. And so we entered into community with one another, just a relationship where it was, hey, I see you. And that ended up with her going to, knocking on our door one Sunday morning and saying, Dana, who at that point was my fiance, I need you to come with me right now to church because you teach, and I don't like children, and they told me I'm teaching children's church this morning, so you're coming with me. Grabbed her and yanked her off to church.
I didn't know that part of it.
And I said, yeah. So I'm like, have fun. And so I stayed at home.
Yeah.
And I proceeded to stay at home for many weeks afterwards when my wife started going to church every week.
Yeah.
Because of an invitation, because we built community.
Yeah.
Now, so when we separate our communities, we're separating the opportunity to do that, to be able to, because if we hadn't had that chance to build that relationship, she would have said, "You're coming with me." I'm not going with you. What do you? Instead, it was, okay,
Yeah.
and that's what happened. When I was at said church, I would love to tell you as a pastor that it was wonderful pastoral ministry and great messages but it was not. It was being around people who were living their life
Yeah.
in simple little ways
Yeah.
that revealed Christ in who they were,
Yeah.
and that is what made me say, well, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And now I do all the. I mean, now church has become so
Yeah.
much of my life.
Yeah.
But it's all because of community, not because of any other thing, not because of any kind of track that was handed to me, not because of any kind of threat, not because of any kind of even promise or sermon or even the music. It was meeting people, becoming part of the community, and then being able to see God work at work. So, I'm living proof that it takes community beyond the walls of the church to be able to share that.
Yeah. I I said earlier about, when in this vulnerable space,
Yeah.
coming back home to community, um, it sounds like community both is a safety and a sanctuary, but sometimes just being in community with people opens doors that would not otherwise be opened.
Yeah.
Not just for you, but for those people.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I have no idea how long we've been talking for, but let's talk about a couple of the dangers of not being in community.
Yeah.
So we used Acts 2, obviously the tail end in 42 as kind of the beginning and the end of this sermon series. And N.T. Wright talks about the big four things that people did in the community. They came together. They listened to the words or the teaching of the apostles. They listened to Scripture. They broke bread together, and in that way, there was both the eating together, just like hanging out, like we do sometimes, just go and eating and having a time, but then also the Lord's Supper, like taking or receiving. Sorry, we receive communion.
I'll edit it out.
We'll talk about it later. And the prayers, all of that stuff. One of the things that N.T. Wright says that a community or a church, really we're talking about the community here, that doesn't at some point put itself around the scriptures and prayers, finds itself in danger. But really there's another part of that. It's the idea, and this goes back to John Wesley talking about the idea of the solitary holiness. There's a danger in that, because in isolation, and I wanted to say this in our sermon, but I had already preached for 30 plus minutes. There's a difference between finding solitude for a time and isolation.
Yes, very much so.
So like solitude is Jesus going out into the woods for 40 days and 40 nights to pray, to fast. For that moment, there's solitude there. There's, needing quiet because you need to quiet your mind. Versus isolation that almost feels chronic in nature.
Yeah.
Like I'm chronically isolated. I keep myself at arm's length.
Yeah.
In isolation, there is the danger of self-deception.
Yeah.
Not only about what like Scripture says, but self-deception about like who you are as a person.
Sure. Yeah.
I hear all the time stories of people who are isolated, and they allow a narrative about themselves get put forward, and it ends up doing violence to their souls.
Yeah.
So that's one danger of not being a community. On the spot, can you think of some? I mean, what are some other ones that you would say to our folks? Like, here's another reason why, like, if you're not community, it's dangerous to you.
Well, purely from an academic sense, if we're talking about trying to to do the work of interpreting Scripture, and learning about all that. We've been at it. People far smarter than I have been doing work for centuries, trying to really distill down what the Bible means, and how to read it, and to understand the context behind everything. And if you decide I'm not going to participate in that, I'm just going to sit here and have it affirm what I already want it to. There's definitely a danger in that. I know for sure, like when you talk about, when I think about people who withdraw because they're emotionally hurt or vulnerable, it always it festers. It makes it worse. I've talked to people who have experienced church hurt. Who have been in situations where, the people of the church let them down, and that is a reality of community, is that we're gonna mess up
because we're people.
Because we're people. And in some cases really bad, and the reaction is, well, I'm just going to listen to the I want to say K-Love, but it's Joy FM here, because I still believe in God, I still have faith, but I don't believe in the church, and I don't believe in the people, and I want to withdraw from that. And you're missing out on all that God wants for us to be able to receive. Because it's like, if you have to watch something online, if you have to go to church and watch it on a screen because you have to, that's all right. It's great that it exists. But there's nothing better than being in the room. And I don't care whether you're listening to a pipe organ or a praise team, whatever your preference is. Being in the room and being able to sing with other people and have that moment where we are doing something together.
You wanted to say be in the room where it happens. I heard it.
The room where it happens.
I heard it coming.
And to be there in the room where it happens. So now I got Hamilton in my brain. Thank you.
You said something there that made me think too of, we just weren't created to be without community.
No, we weren't.
And so when we do that, it doesn't, I actually don't care what the size of the community is.
Yeah. Oh, you don't need to have a huge community. Yeah. I have seen churches with 12 people that are sitting there and it's no different than the small groups that first started. It's getting together and living this life with other people helps us, and because it's how we were designed to be. Even if we don't always want to do it, and you don't always have to do it, but you need to come back to it.
Those early band meetings in the church, in the Methodist church, were 3 to 5 people, I think.
Oh, yeah.
If you think about it, like Wesley goes to Oxford. Sorry if this is getting too historical for you, but
I'm a nerd.
Wesley goes to Oxford at the request of his brother and I think 2 other guys.
Yeah.
So the 4 of them were together. And they encouraged each other. They prayed together. They sang. They worshipped. They went to Castle Prison together. All of those things, and it wasn't like, Again, that's why I said community doesn't necessarily mean 1,000 people in a room.
No.
It can be 3 couples sitting in somebody's living room, just living life together.
Yeah.
Just talking about their, life and faith.
Yes.
Kids. Yes. Whatever. It's just the fact that we were not created to be in isolation.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest part. Okay, so we have no idea how long we've been talking.
No. I can look at this. 40 minutes. Roughly.
Look at us. Look at 40 minutes. So let's see if we can dovetail an end here.
See, this is why I haven't been on the podcast yet. They always keep me in the back.
We let him out to do worship. I don't. So we've talked about some of the negative. We've talked about the positives. I wonder if we ought to talk to just for a second to the folks who are struggling to find community. Actually, before we do that, hold on one
Yeah.
second.
Okay.
I want to say this.
Yeah.
Yesterday, and no names. We won't use names to let the keep everybody's innocence. But somebody walked up to me. So we ended service by saying, "Hey, don't run out the front doors.
Yeah.
Take a sharp right once you get out of the sanctuary, and go, to we have this thing called the Connection Cafe. If you haven't been to Harvest, if you're listening and you're like trying to figure out who we are, we have this area called the Connection Cafe where people can actually connect and be community. I said, go down there, please, and make a date to go to dinner, to go have a game night, whatever, with people.
Yeah.
Somebody stopped me and said, this community saved my life.
Okay.
So we haven't talked about this yet.
No.
So somebody walked up to me and they said, this community saved my life. That, they had their people, and, life happens, and they had lost some loved ones and all of those things that had happened. And it seems like at times hyperbole, like to say something like, this place saved my life. But then listening to that person tell me the story yesterday, I realized that that person may have been saying literally, this place kept me from losing my life.
Yeah.
But then I also had to think to myself, there have been moments where this community has also saved my life. Where the community of not just inside the walls of the church, but the community that has surrounded me, and whether it be from coaches I coach with, or people who I've met through like my kids' sports, or kids and people that I've met because of my older kids, and all, what I mean, all of that stuff. Like, there have been times where it has given me a level of saving my life, as in helping me not lose my own humanity.
Yeah.
And so, that being said, there is still somebody who is either watching or listening to this who is struggling to find community, or to give themselves over to community. Because it is, you kind of give yourself to the community. Right?
It's not always as easy as, hey, I'm here.
Right. So just let's end on, what would you say to that person who is struggling with entering back into community, trying to find community? Like, what would you say to them? I know that's a tough one off the spot.
It is. It's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard, and it's going to involve you having to do something that you may just not want to do. And you're not alone.
Yeah.
And it's easy to feel that way. I think about, I spent several months without my family because I'd come down to Florida ahead of time.
Sorry.
Hey, it's all good. They're here now, and everything's very noisy, and I have much less money. We'll edit that part out.
No, don't edit it. Leave that in. That's community, my friend.
That is community.
That's community.
But it worked out when I came down here, that rather than going into a place completely by myself, I ended up staying at the house of a couple members here for several months.
Some of the original
church members here. And that saved my humanity.
Yeah, it did.
Because if I had been going home, sitting in front of the television, or sitting down and reading, and just being there in that empty space, I would have been in a very dark place.
Yeah.
In a very dark place, and it's hard to claw out of that. Yeah. So I was saved by the fact that I didn't have to do that at all. So it happens even in the midst of good things. but it's worth it. It's worth, and even though it's tough, even though it involves having to open yourself up, there are people out there who really want to love you.
Yeah.
If you need it, I really want to love you. I know,
Sounds like
I
a
know.
song we could start.
I mean, yeah, there you go. But that's what it is. It's and not because of anything that you've done or who you are or because you had to do it. It's because you're awesome.
Yeah. Well, you're created in the image of God.
Yeah. I mean that is incredible, right?
Yeah,
that
just
then there.
enough. Yeah.
And so it is worth it. And then when you enter into that into that community, if you let that happen, you don't know how much your life is going to change.
Yeah.
You can go from, not knowing anything about anything and just kind of being lost to sitting on a podcast talking about Jesus.
Yeah. Look at us.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. I was thinking, and maybe this will be the end, but I was just thinking, if I were going to say something to folks about community, I would say be the person in the community that you hope other people would be to you.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about this idea of, we talk about a lot of times the people or the types of communities that have been so hurtful.
Yeah, and it's hard because when you're in community,
Yeah.
if you open yourself up, you are opening yourself up to receive hurt.
And maybe just remember, I want to do this for people. Just
Yeah.
remember that there are those things that happen, and so the pieces of the community should be forgiving, loving, being understanding. We haven't talked about this word really, but being empathetic.
Yeah.
And thinking like, hey, this person it just feels like they are out of control.
Yeah.
But maybe they are like I have been, raw and at the edge of every nerve they have.
Yeah.
Right. And so that would be my thing to folks is just, hey, in community, just remember, while we're in community, it doesn't mean we know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And hopefully the deeper in community we get, the more we understand.
Yeah.
But just be the person in the community that you would hope others would be back towards you.
Yeah.
We should probably end there.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for watching the Good Roots podcast. This is probably, listen, we're gonna do this more often, and we're gonna keep Good Roots weird.
Okay.
And we hope that this is, if you haven't found a community, I think Tim said it, and you'll probably take it as him just being really loving, but it's true. I think at Harvest, we're a community of folks who really do want to love and connect, and if you need that, we're here for that. And if you are listening to this and you're somewhere else outside of Florida or whatever, we're trying to build an online community with those who worship online, because we know that that's a thing that has to happen. But if not, maybe you give yourself to community somewhere. Find a place where you can grow and be formed. And keep watching the Good Roots podcast or listening. We hope to see you, we hope you'll see us and hear us again soon. Thanks for being with us.